There's three kinds of empaths. There's an empath of the mind, an empath of the stomach, and an empath of the heart. Some zodiac signs are they break that up. So, for example, a Sagittarius will be very empathic, and their main component, and if they were to do a reading, their main component, main chakra, main energy source would be their stomach. If you were Pisces, their main component will be the pineal gland. So they will definitely connect to visions, seeing things, and knowing. Yeah. And then if you're like an Aquarius, your heart is your main empath source. Each energetic composition energy source has a unique character trait. But for each character trait and source of sensitivity, all of them are sensitive. So this is sensitive. That's why Pisces people, we just finished the boot camp, and their main thing was to get outside of this so that this can rest and essentially also ground, and this can be cleared. The pineal gland, the crown chakra, the soul star above that, and even the intermediary energy sources that are located here. And then essentially this as well. For Pisces, this area is very important. The throat chakra, it's all about flow. For an Aquarius, who else is also centered in their heart? But just for empaths centered in their heart, so for example, the Aquarius, your heart will be a major energy source. So the heart will be the place where you feel the most, where you will be stimulated the most. The theme of love will be a very, very important, energy source. But then your karma in being very centered in the heart will be, you can't crowd this place with heaviness, with resentment, with holding grudges, with remembering and never, what's the forgiving but never forgetting? The heart is like the womb. It's all about flow. Even your stomach is all about flow, but the heart has 4 chambers that need to pump, and it pumps blood. It does not congeal anything. It needs flow. So that's just at a biological level, but equally so if we understand the empathic source in being the heart, this place can't be heavy at all. Because it's such an open space, and the theme of how you would see things, view things, and where your intuition would lie, this place needs to be clean, and it needs to be regular, and it needs to be pumping. So that's why, for example, an Aquarius would love doing things that are masculine in either being active, or it's important for them to do these things that are active, that gets the blood flowing. Because outside of that, energetically, your intuition, your degree of empathy, and your degree of intuition will definitely be stimulated by a clean, flowing environment in the heart chakra. This heart chakra is equally connected to Mother Nature as well. So a lot of elements of nature, whether it be the fauna, the flora, animals, the elements, all of these things become very, very part of your spiritual identity, but also part of the things that help you regulate the heart. I also just want to make a mention that if you are an empath that is centered in the heart, you also need to keep in mind that blood and the heart, they go together. Whose blood do you inherit? The mother's blood? No, the father's blood. Whatever your blood type, your dad, your dad's dad, and so forth. Meaning, one of the karmas linked to the heart chakra is just keeping in mind that if you are an Aquarius, for example, or a heart-centered empath, the one of the responsibilities of why you are given this sensitive disposition and your empathic ability is all centered around how well you can regulate what wasn't regulated, linked to your paternal side. And that's not going to be easy for you because it's going to feel overwhelming. And if you take anything related to the heart personally, then you don't know your potential in what you can do in your heart. So if you were part of the empath boot camp, I divide all the empaths into these categories, and the natal chart informs you of which is more dominant. But outside of the natal chart, you can also kind of figure it out for yourself. So just thought I'd share that. I can go into a lot more detail, but I work with people one-on-one where I go into the details and how your actual family informs what's going on here. The last of the three is your stomach. So those stomach empaths, I think a lot of them exist. So if you are Sagittarius, 100% stomach empath. Leos, stomach empath. So this means that your gut always tells you what the vibes are. Your gut informs you about, your intuition. Your gut gives you guidance. Your stomach will even tell you, at a biological level, eat this, don't eat this. And these people are very much inspired by the intuition that is linked to knowing, but you don't know how you know, but you know you know. Now, if you don't have a relationship with your gut, your stomach, and you try and live a life where, as an empath, your stomach is like this, congealed, you are not going to do well. If you give the stomach no attention and you use external things to validate what is inside, you're not going to do well. So this is where anxiety kicks in. And again, just like an overthinking mind, those who are Pisces will be blocked here. With a heart that is holding grudges, holds a lot of emotions, has a lot of anger, the heart becomes congealed. The stomach, anxiety, low confidence, and mental health starts in the microbiome. Doesn't start here. It starts in the microbiome. So you who are Sagittarius, you who are Leo, Virgo, they go through this. They go through all of this, where the stomach is not regular, their digestion is poor, they only go to the bathroom 3 times in a week, when every single day there should be flow. So the benefit of having a flowing stomach is that you are connected to infinite intelligence. But you're only going to know your potential in your empathic ability, in knowing how you know, but you don't know how you know, when you also realize that the karma linked to this stomach chakra has everything to do with who you inherit your stomach from. Now, what did we say about the heart? We said that the heart pumps the blood, and the blood is inherited by, you inherit your blood type from your father. So if the father is the blood, who's the stomach? Your mother. We inherit our mother's microbiome. So you who are Sagittarius, if your mom went through womb issues, miscarriage, if your mom had a C-section, if your mom had a hysterectomy, if your mom went through endometriosis, PCOS, any kind of womb issues, if your mom suffered from a lack of validation in the stomach with her mother who never validated her, then as an empath centered in the stomach, if that's your main source, you're going to go through the same thing. This is equal for men and testosterone levels. Testosterone levels will drop If you were Sagittarius male, Virgo male, you will try to use your sustenance and energy here when it should actually come from the stomach. And if you don't immerse yourself in knowing the capacity of how broad and wide and magical your stomach can be, when you don't distract it with things, food, feeling anxiety, these are all distractions. It's like me doing this by the camera, and now you're like, oh my word, it's murky, look there. And I'll say, yeah, that's your life, you're not seeing it clearly. But if you get help, if you ask for help, if you uncongeal the stomach, then your empathic abilities skyrocket. There's clarity. And as an empath, each energy source, if you study Hinduism, they call it a psychic knot. One for the pineal gland, one for the heart, and one for the solar plexus. If these places are tied up, we can nearly predict how you are living your life, the quality of your relationships, the quality of you and your knowledge of self, the in and out and stop and start, especially with the stomach people. They stop, start, stop, start. These people here, stop, start, stop, start. These people here, heart chakra, they persevere through things. And then out of nowhere, something hits them. And just by the way, if you're an Aquarius or a heart energy, empath, take note on your father's side of people who have passed linked to heart-related issues, chest-related issues, liver-related issues, anything in the chest area. I share this because you don't have to live in the knot and then call your knots reality. If you are not taught spiritually, energetically, about the disposition that feeds you in potential, and you just kind of reside in, I'm just anxious, my heart is just tight, so therefore you don't breathe properly, and breathing to anyone who's a heart-centered person is important. Or you just are overthinker and you're comfortable with saying that. I'm an overthinker, Nathaniel. These people don't sleep well. These people are restless. These people know a lot but don't know how to vocalize it. They don't feel safe to vocalize it. And it's not that you use these things independently of everything else. Essentially, you should use this in cohesion with everything else. Your pituitary gland is your master gland for your endocrine system. And is it the pituitary? I think it's the pituitary. That's the master gland. So as above, so below. Whatever is affecting here at the bottom is going to affect this. But in these three aspects, this is where we start dividing the potential. If each is clear and flowing, you start getting into the potential of what you can experience. Because if we clear the fog in the mind, if we clear the fog that sits in the heart and the issues related to family sitting in the heart, and if we clear the stomach and stop distracting it with sugar, distracting it with food, distracting it with anxiety and fear, and if we replace the stomach with faith, if we replace the heart with flow and pumping energy that is proactive in the masculine, not destructive in the masculine, and if we give this space clarity, you start really tapping into your intuition as an empath and not a victim as an empath, because it's very easy for empaths who are centered in either one of these energy centers, it's very easy for them to go into victimhood. Very easy for them to start playing the song narcissist, narcissist, everyone takes advantage of me, no one understands me. And then they also want to DIY the process. So they have psychic knots and then they just become the knot, which means I go into hermit mode, Nathaniel. I don't talk to anyone. I feel overwhelmed by everything. So I just keep to myself. And I say, how's that looking for you health-wise? Have you gone to a homeopath? Have you checked your well-being mentally, emotionally, and physically? Because as an empath, you can't live in isolation. You can process your understanding and healing in isolation, but you still need community. I'm talking to you right now, but I'm not talking to you alone. I speak to you in community if you know how to read through the lines. So I share this because people aren't sharing this here on this platform, whether it be YouTube that you're watching this, TikTok, whatever the case may be. If you are one of these three empaths, dissect what I've just said in this video and then go look at your life. Go look at your mom, go look at your dad. See which is a main inheritance, because when I do readings, if you ever do a reading with me, it's very clear. And any other reader who's authentic, it's very clear who has a dominance. It's so clear to see, you're very strong over here, very strong in the heart, or very strong in the stomach. And it's just about now clearing the cobwebs that stop the potential energy that sits there. And if you don't ask for help, if you don't reach out, you stay in that reservation. Some of you have the potential to go through it on your own and move it through your own, but you still need community. The stomach works in community. The heart works in community. You know, this works in community. So you can't be an empath and be isolated. Community is a fundamental aspect in being what you are. Keep this in mind in understanding yourself as a gifted person and understanding what lies as your potential, because it's very much linked to how your soul shows up. Some of you are bright blue and purple and indigo and white, then I know, boom. Some of you are beaming green, then I know that's the heart chakras. And then some of you are yellow and orange and reddish, and I know that's the people there by the solar plexus. And if you can just understand the potential, geez, man, and how to regulate this place without the distractions, a pineal gland without overthinking, a heart without resentment, and a stomach without fear, and you replace all these places with faith and nurture these psychic potential, or it's called energy centers. You nurture these psychic energy centers. You don't know who you are if you haven't given yourself 3 years of a nurturing environment in these 3 areas. You don't know who you are. You have no idea. You think you know who you are, but you have no idea who you are, especially in potential. If you want to know yourself deeply, I teach. I help people understand how to clear, move, and then fall into the residue of what's left, the balance, which is emptiness and nothingness. And I say, go dive deep into that place now and see whether you are still fearful. See whether you are still full of anxiety. Learn about yourself. I have an empath boot camp coming up in April on the 7th. And I take on like 5 people. And like I said, we do a proper forensic analysis of who you are. We look at your lineage and we say, okay, this is where the main influence comes in from, and this is the predominant energy center. And then we do work in that energy center. From week 1, we start with a detox. Then we start into breaking down the identities, the fuller extent of what this entails as a heart chakra person, as a solar plexus empath, and or maybe you are, pineal gland, crown chakra empath. We break down what kind of diet you need, what kind of lifestyle you need. And then I say for 4 weeks, it's all online. Work with me. I'm going to teach you how to nurture yourself in a place that people never taught you how to nurture yourself. See what happens in 4 weeks. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why you're here. But this will give you a nice fundamental breakdown to then, after 4 weeks, you have the choice to see whether you carry on. But at least you know someone taught you. And you can now work off that, as opposed to thinking that the psychologist is going to understand you, because they won't. Thinking that the psychiatrist with the medication that they offer you is not going to help you. Especially you people who are in the stomach. You're not supposed to be taking any kind of medication for your mental health, for depression or anxiety. You just don't know who you are and how to care for yourself energetically first before you worried about just caring for the body. I like to understand myself as someone who cares for the place beyond someone's thinking, emotions, and physical body. We go to the root and the essence. So if this video found you, and you have listened thus far, my energy has engaged you thus far, and what I've said captivates this, or the solar plexus, even if you don't sign up to a boot camp and maybe you missed the boot camp, for whatever reason, whoever must join will join. Just do research about these three centers: your pineal gland, your heart chakra, and your solar plexus. And then sit with yourself as an exercise and see what resonates. In your natal chart, if you see you are dominant Sagittarius, then you know the solar plexus is dominant. If you are a dominant in Pisces, then you know this is dominant. If you are dominant in your Aquarius, then you know this is, but there's other signs. I just can't remember which ones is which now. But just know that there's a main identity that really wraps your soul's identity into a clear understanding, and it's like how you show up on the other side. Once you have that clarity, you can start moving through life and start nurturing accordingly, and get rid of all the stuff that essentially overwhelmed that energy center, because it will be a block, and you will call that block your lifestyle, and I'll say you're not living to your potential. So you can even go through this on your own, but practice it in a practical way as opposed to just learning the theory. Learn how to let go if you're in the heart. Learn how to regulate the stomach if you're in the stomach. Learn how to be absent of thought if you are in the head. See what happens when you commit in action, behavior, and not just theory and talking. I have a very soft spot for empaths because I'm one of you. And I just feel like there's a lot of shallow understanding of what an empath is. It's easy to find bullshit on what an empath is, but to forensically get analysis and then put an action behind it, as opposed to being a victim and just come up with narcissist. There's very few people who actually work practically with this, and I've just noticed it. So I offer you this from me to you, because I received it as an aha moment, and hopefully this helps you understand who you are a lot more, and you can go deeper into that balance of who you are, whether it's in the heart, here, or in your stomach.